Please go ahead, sir. We are live now.
Thank you so much, Amit. So, good morning, ladies and gentlemen, our friends from across the nation. Myself, Neeraj Arora. I am Senior Director at ASSOCHAM. I would like to welcome you all on behalf of ASSOCHAM Rajasthan State Development Council and Rajasthan State Pollution Control Board. So, welcome you all for this wonderful webinar on sustainable packaging. So, friends, for the discussion, we have with us eminent speakers. And our chief guest for the day is Srimati Veenu Gupta ji, IAS Chairperson, Rajasthan State Pollution Control Board, Government of Rajasthan. Welcome, madam. We have with us Dr. Prasad Modak ji, Executive President, EMC and Director, eConnect Knowledge Foundation. Welcome, Dr. Prasad. We have with us Dr. R. Ranga Prasad ji, Business Head, Packaging 360. Welcome, sir. And we have with us Dr. Ajay Data ji, Chairman, ASSOCHAM Rajasthan State Development Council and Managing Director, Data Group of Industries. Mr. Gaurav Agrawal, Chairman, ASSOCHAM Rajasthan Committee on Environment, Waste and Water Management and Principal Architect, Gaurav Agrawal Design Studio. Welcome, Gaurav ji. And we have Mr. Ashu Gupta ji with us, who is the Executive Member, ASSOCHAM Rajasthan State Development Council and Managing Partner, Design to Occupancy. Mr. Ashu Gupta is the moderator for the day. So next, I would like to invite Dr. Ajay Data ji, Chairman, ASSOCHAM Rajasthan SDC, for the welcome address, sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you very much, Neeraj. Good morning, everyone, for joining this session, which is a very important one. Before I start the session, let me introduce a little bit about ASSOCHAM. ASSOCHAM is a very important chamber. It started in 1920, much before our freedom, to bring the industry in one platform in Calcutta. Around 450,000 directly, indirectly members involved with this chamber. So you can imagine that it has an impact all over India. And whatever mission or vision we have, we always try to bring in the most important, impactful topics for deliberation and discussion. And in this series, when we started this chapter in Rajasthan ASSOCHAM chapter in this year only, and I took over as a chairman, we had our first meeting with Srimati Veenu Gupta ji. She was kind enough to give us the time and see that how we can do something for the state. Obviously, pollution becomes a very important aspect. And this is where the discussion started about the wasteful packaging or sustainable packaging. And we thought that it would be a wonderful idea to discuss around with the stakeholders and also listen the authorities, what do they expect from the industry. Ma'am, these kind of discussions not only happens only in virtually, we are 6 people, but this goes to thousands of people all over India and in Rajasthan. So it's a very important aspect and it goes into the press. So whatever we discuss here, it does not get remained limited to the audience here. It has a large impact, and because of the internet world today, these discussions also remain available online and people can look at them and listen to them as much as they want, and we can share. This is a very important topic. We are talking about the packaging here, sustainable packaging. Sustainable packaging is obviously with an example of, if I can see a peanut, we always have. It's a poor sea turtle permanently deformed by plastic six-pack ring. Obviously, peanut is just a very strong of many others. This grabs attention for consumer and manufacturers like. When I travel worldwide, especially in US, they do not give you any bag, no packaging. If you buy 20 items, you are supposed to buy a bag. Otherwise, you are supposed to carry a bag from your home and take it there. The idea is not to waste the unnecessary carry bags from one place to another. And there are many, many examples of such things and the ideas which people have been following. Thankfully, companies big and small are now turning towards eco-friendly practices such as utilizing reusable bags. Disposable plastic bags are not supposed to be used. And more importantly, companies are not exploring sustainable packaging design. And this is what we are going to talk today with the help of government and private sector and deliberate on this issue and today in this session, and then take this discussion. Diwali is being approaching. How do we take up some ideas and avoid some wastage during the packaging and reduce lots of side effects of this. With these thoughts, thank you very much everyone for joining in. I will hand over to the speakers again here. Who is going to speak next? Please, Neeraj.
Yeah, thank you so much, Anil ji. Now, I would like to introduce our moderator for the day, Mr. Ashu Gupta.
Yes.
So, Mr. Ashu Gupta is the Managing Director, Managing Partner, Design to Occupancy LLP, and is Executive Member, ASSOCHAM Rajasthan State Development Council. So, over to you, Ashu.
Thank you so much, Neeraj. And first of all, good morning, everyone, and happy Navratra to everyone, which we are going on. We are already in the festive mood. And I want to say, because this is a topic which is very close to the everyone heart, sustainable packaging. The world is moving. We are fighting a lot of crises around the globe. And of course, the climate change is one thing, but of course, the packaging which we are using during the festive season and the Diwali is also coming up, like Mr. Data has told us. So we will be deliberating. I think we have a very eminent speakers during the session. So I'm sure in the next 1.5 hours, all of you will learn so many new things. What's happening around in India. So I think we'll start with that. I think we are very fortunate that we have Chairperson Srimati Veenu Gupta ji with us, and the entire CP and the Pollution Control Board Department, Dr. Vijay Singhal ji, and of course, and other team members. So I want to introduce first, we want to hear from Srimati Veenu Gupta ji. I want to introduce her. She is an IAS officer 1987 batch, and presently is the chairperson Rajasthan State Pollution Control Board. She holds MBA and post-graduation in English, and she has been at several positions like Additional Chief Secretary, PWD, Jaipur. She has been a Rajasthan State Road Development and Construction Corporation. She has been an Additional Chief Secretary for Medical and Health and Family Welfare Department, and last 34 years in several positions in the Rajasthan government. And she has been a part of the several domestic foreign trainings during her professional career. And I think her name, because I'm personally following her since long, because she's very dynamic. And when I met first time, I was impressed to see that, because ma'am, I think we have interacted from the PWD and other departments. But of course, we would like to hear you on this platform regarding, because this is your idea that that ASSOCHAM, you given a responsibility to ASSOCHAM to do a session on sustainable packaging. So ma'am, over to you. We would like to hear all of you to you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you, Ashuji. Mr. Ajay Datta, Chairperson of Rajasthan ASSOCHAM State Council, Professor Modak, Dr. Rangaprasad, Ashuji, and other office bearers of ASSOCHAM. Thank you very much for taking lead on this topic, which is not only very relevant and topical, but also very crucial when it comes to pollution and environment issues. Actually, I've been thinking about this problem of over packaging for the last 6-7 years, and it has been there at the back of my mind. And when Mr. Datta and other office bearers of ASSOCHAM came to see me, and they said that they wanted to have a webinar on some issue related to environment, they were suggesting e-waste, but I said that no, e-waste, of course, it is very important, and we are discussing it with the industry and with other stakeholders. But I think something which has not been spoken so far, which has not been discussed very much with the stakeholders, is the issue of sustainable packaging and the problem of over packaging that we face in India, especially, and North India, I think, very special. It has almost become a menace in the last 8-10 years. So what has been the trigger for this thought process? The first trigger has been the wedding invitations that we get in the last 7-8 years. I have noticed, and many others would have noticed, that the wedding invitations are getting bigger and bigger, and with several sheets. You will have a sheet for every event. So one wedding invitation will be one big box with at least 4-5 sheets in it, for one sheet for every event. And they use paper, they use plastic, they use glass, cloth, different kinds of materials are being used. And what do we do with those very beautiful to look at wedding invitations? I mean, certainly they look very, very beautiful when they arrive. So initially, I also used to look at them and think it's so beautiful. Sometimes you don't even feel like opening it, but ultimately you have to open it, because if you have to attend that wedding, you have to get to know what is the program, what is the venue. So you open it, and once you open it, you keep one relevant sheet, and the rest all goes into the garbage. So whenever there is a wedding season and you look at the garbage bins which are kept in public places, they would be overflowing with this kind of these boxes, and so much of waste which is generated out of these wedding invitations. The second trigger that has been is the festival gifting. That is also very interesting, because in the last 8-10 years, again, one has seen that a box of dry fruits is wrapped in at least 4 to 5 layers. So the first layer would be a plastic bag, which of course is necessary to keep the product safe, to keep it uncontaminated. And then that bag would be in a cardboard box, and that cardboard box would perhaps be in a bigger cardboard box or a basket. And sometimes then there would be a carry bag to carry that basket or box. So there would be at least 4 to 5 layers to carry one small or medium sized packet of dry fruits. And again, when you start opening it, it's so much of waste generated, so much over packaging, which is totally mindless to me, because only minimal packaging is required to keep the product safe, and rest of it is just a waste of resources. So I have been this has been bothering me, and I informally discussed it with my team, especially Dr. Singhal and others, and I said that we must do something about it. At least start a discussion around it, and people should start seeing that there's so much of avoidable packaging. And I thought that especially the corporate world is very, very important as far as this kind of gifting and packaging is concerned. So I thought SHM is the right platform to hold this discussion. And what exactly can we together, what can we do about it? I think the first thing that we all can do is to spread awareness about it. Start discussion. People should start seeing, because a lot of people are just seeing the aesthetic part of it. It should look good, it should look big, people should be impressed by the packaging, but what happens after that, nobody or very few people are thinking about that. So the first thing that SHM can do is to spread awareness about it, the kind of waste which is being generated, the kind of resources that are being used, and it is all going into landfills. Mind you, it is not being recycled, just filling up our landfills. And the second thing I feel that the corporate world can do is, it can take a very big lead in saying no to over packaging, because you are the people who set the demand for these products. And let me tell you, it's a purely consumer driven thing, because if an industry says that I want to give gift to my 1,000 employees, or whatever the number is, but I want it in a minimal packaging. I don't want over packaging. I want to avoid these multi-layer, multi-material packaging. Then certainly the suppliers will come forward. They will start packaging in that manner. So it's totally demand-driven, consumer-driven. You have to set that demand, and definitely the market will respond to it. The second thing that you can, as corporates, you can insist is on use of eco-friendly, reusable materials for packaging. You can insist on packaging, having it only in jute or bamboo or cloth materials which are eco-friendly, which are compostable, and avoid plastic, and insist on single layer packaging. Apart from this, on a personal front also, I think all of us can make a difference. These wedding invitations, a lot of people have started sending only e-invites. So I think that is another thing that the ASSOCHAM members can start doing that. Also, there's another aspect of weddings which involves a lot of packaging. These are the gifts that are exchanged between the two parties. Again, I see a lot of unnecessary, avoidable packaging, which results in a lot of garbage generation. It can be made simpler. In fact, the weddings itself can be made simpler and smaller. So, as a layperson, as a member of the society, these were some of my thoughts, which I have been feeling very strongly on over packaging. But I'm sure we have very eminent speakers today with us, Professor Modak and Dr. Rangarajan. They can go into the technicalities, and I'm sure they also have a lot of data to share with you, which will reveal to you how much of plastic and other non-eco-friendly materials are being used for packaging, and how packaging can be made simpler and more eco-friendly. And finally, I would urge ASSOCHAM that you introduce a small pledge which can be taken by your members voluntarily. I mean, there should not be any compulsion, but since you are going to have a discussion on this, and you were saying that you would be taking this message further, a pledge could be introduced by ASSOCHAM for its members, where the members pledge that they will, in future, in both their corporate gifting as well as on personal front, they will go for minimal packaging which is required only to keep the product safe, and they will not resort to over packaging. So that is my request to ASSOCHAM. So on this issue, this is what I had to say. These were my thoughts, and I feel very, very strongly about it. If there is anything further that ASSOCHAM would like to do in collaboration with the Pollution Control Board on this topic, we'll be very happy to partner. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. One question, ma'am, which comes to my mind. Please have a glass of water, ma'am. And then I ask a question. And that question is, this industry is likely to be around $200 billion by 2025. I did a research report in the night. And if obviously the packaging cost goes down from the supplier's perspective, so which is a great idea, which we all are discussing about having reduced packaging, but it has a direct side effect on the industry perspective, because their business will go down, and their invitation letter, which is 1,000 rupees, will now come to 100 rupees or 200 rupees, which will go down, and taxes will go down, and so on and so forth. So this is also one thing which industry will now come back and see that what you guys are trying to do is now to hit the industry at the same time. So any thoughts around that also need to be probably discussed and give some alternate mechanism to the industry.
No, I'm sure, some industries will get a hit, like they have already got, for example, people who used to print wedding invitations and all. When people have started moving to e-invites, certainly their business would have got a hit. But then ultimately we have to look at the larger picture. You know, if you are you trying to save your world? I mean, so these are larger questions. For today's gain, we cannot risk our future. And this has happened in all industries. I mean, you start look at the textile industry. I mean, if textile industry, if government is insisting, or even the NGOs and everybody, all the stakeholders are insisting that the industry should adopt eco-friendly processes. They should have a CETP. Each one of them should have a primary treatment plant. It is all adding to those costs. But I mean, that is the requirement of the day. If we have to save our planet, there is no other way we can go about it.
Yeah, well said, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Ajay ji, for asking a question. Thank you so much, ma'am, for giving an insight. Absolutely, I agree. There is no planet B. We only have a planet A, and we have to work towards that. Otherwise, there is no option for the living after, because this is the IPCC report which I was reading, that after 20 years, the temperature outside will be increasing in that way. So all these things impacting on climate change. And regarding, ma'am, I have noted down your point regarding the wedding. Of course, Prashad sir has already shared one blog, and which is I have already read that blog, is regarding for the sustainable wedding, how we do the sustainable wedding these days, and it is possible. It is not a very tough thing. So that we will definitely, ma'am, as ASSOCHAM, we will take care, and we take the pledge. We take your guidance that we took a pledge, and our members will focus in the direction no to over packaging, and that is a very nice slogan. Same like recently the police department is doing no honking. Similarly, the no to over packaging, and this is kind of the pledge we will have to start. We will do that, ma'am, and of course we will take this pledge. And ma'am, thank you so much for your kind words and sharing a time with us. This is actually I'm sure that the speakers which are we are going to listen, I think all their presentation will cover the ideas which we can implement, which we can adopt during these days to fight against the climate change. So I request the next speaker, Amit. So next speaker is very renowned speaker, because I have met him 2 years back in Asian conference in Gurgaon, and I was so impressed to hear him, because he's from IIT Mumbai, and Dr. Prashad Modak is Executive Vice President of EMC and Director eConnect Knowledge Foundation. Dr. Prasad Modak holds a BTech Civil Engineering, MTech Environmental Science and Engineering from IIT Bombay, and Doctor of Engineering Environmental Engineering from Asian Institute of Technology, Bangkok. Dr. Modak was a professor at Center for Environmental Science and Engineering at IIT Bombay 1984 to 1994, and later as a professor at the Center of Technology Alternatives in Rural Areas. He is currently the Executive President of Environmental Management Center LLP and Director eConnect Knowledge Foundation. Dr. Modak has worked with almost all key UN, multilateral and bilateral development institutions in the world. These include the World Bank, IFC, Asian Development Bank, European Investment Bank, UNEP, UNIDO, UNDP, DFID, Swedish and Dutch Embassy in Delhi. And I think Dr. Modak has been in intergovernmental organizations such as Asian Productivity Organization, Tokyo, and is a member of Indian Resource Panel at Ministry of Environment, Forest and Climate Change, and currently is a member of Task Force on Sustainable Public Procurement at the Ministry of Finance. We are really fortunate, sir. We are having you, to listening you, looking forward to hear you, sir. Over to you, Prasad, Dr. Prasad, sir.
Thank you so much, Ashu, for your very kind words, and I'm so happy to be amongst all of you. And what strikes me is that this is a great initiative from a regulatory institution like the Rajasthan Pollution Control Board, and I would call ASSOCHAM as an important facilitatory organization representing the business. So this is a nice confluence to see how the business and the regulatory body comes together for the interests of sustainability. So congratulations, of course, to conceive this program and then, hold it jointly together. I think this is really very, very positive. I'm going to be speaking for about 22 minutes. so that we have some time for questions and answers. And I will use some slides to walk you through the idea of sustainable packaging. And I will make an attempt to connect this concept with the circular economy. So let me share my screen now, and please let me know whether it is visible to all of you. So does it work? Are you able to see?
It is still coming? Yeah, we can see, sir. We can see, please. Go
All
ahead.
right. Right. So the title of my talk I chose as sustainable packaging, and it's a game changer, literally, towards circular economy. So look at this concept of sustainable packaging as something which we can, in many ways, say, push the wheel of circular economy. It's like pushing the wheel of circular economy. You know, that's something that you look at this as a very powerful policy instrument, actually. So I'm going to do this presentation in some parts. There are 5 sections in my presentation. So we will spend a very brief time on the kinds of challenges we are facing today. And then I would like to take the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, you know, where packaging waste has become, in fact, a more increasingly difficult challenge. So we'll talk about that a little more, because most of us are now doing our shopping through e-commerce, and I'm sure you must have experienced that you get a huge package at home, and you know you sit opening it one by one, and you find something tiny inside, and there are so many layers of packaging, and it generates a huge amount of waste. The challenge, if you look at it, there are many, of course, but the one, if I were to put in highlights, is one is that we have very considerably increased our extraction levels of resources. And in fact, there are just, if you look at it globally, 10 economies responsible for nearly 70% of world's extraction. And there's a fairly uneven material flow across. In terms of impacts, nearly 30% of river basins are under severe stress. And that's happening since 2010. So you can imagine the figure is even today higher. And all in all, extraction, processing, which also includes transportation, has a very major share of global greenhouse gas emissions. So obviously, it's not surprising that today we have crossed nearly now today 2 times it will be close to our carrying capacity. So it's a very worrisome situation. If you look at the picture between 2002 and 2020, you will see a huge increase in the consumption of key resources like metal ores, fossil energy, fossil fuels, biomass, non-metallic minerals. And one is the increase, and there's a skew. And look at it on the right side of this slide, it tells you also how much are we suffering while we have economic progress on the biocapacities, especially the forest degradation. Now, the challenge, in fact, is the coupling that we see. By coupling here, I mean we all want to raise our income levels, have a better life, assuming that that is going to help in our way of living. But as we increase it, you would notice that there is going to be increased waste generation per capita basis. So that's the catch-22 situation. While we want to improve the income levels, we also have to deal somehow with the increased waste generation. And that happens also if you were to look at the per capita greenhouse gas emission generation. So what we need desperately to do is decoupling the economic growth from the resource consumption and waste generation. So we want to be better when it comes to our increased income levels, but we somehow want to decouple. Now, one of the few countries which achieved it in the first half of the decade of 2000 was Japan. You also see a kind of weak but still decoupling happening in European Union countries. But if you look at cases like rapidly growing economies like India, you would see that we have coupled. So as we are making progress on the economic side, we also have a higher and higher resource consumption per capita and waste generation also per capita. Added to this challenge, now we have the impact of the pandemic, the COVID-19 pandemic. You must have observed that we have been increasing consumption of chemical-based sanitizers and cleaning agents. That is giving an ecological and human risk. There's a pressure on waste management infrastructure, especially managing the biomedical waste. Increased use of single-use plastics. So there has been U-turn everywhere. And earlier we wanted to, in fact, phase out or ban the single-use plastic. Well, in the COVID period, we are increasingly using the single-use plastic. There is a twofold increase expected in the production of medical plastics in the next 2 years. Huge impact. And therefore, that is leading to increased greenhouse gas emissions. So that's another challenge. There is where the packaging is sitting. Put that context now, and you'll see that we are now looking for more and more use of packaging materials because of rising e-commerce. There is a digitalization happening now because everybody wants to track. Because from the risk perspective, we're looking for tamper-proof packaging, but now we are having hygiene in mind, highlighting the consumer safety concerns. And safety has now got added to sustainability, apart from the functional requirements. And everybody wants to be cost competitive. So it's really a challenge that how do you look at the packaging formats today, both from the sustainability concerns, but also there is a safety dimension that we have to worry about. If you look at even the Food Safety Standard Authority in our country, a lot of steps have been taken towards these risks coming because of the pandemic. And there are several of them here, which I have listed. And that is adding a dimension to the packaging business that, there has been also a fairly high concern shown when it comes to safety and standards in the COVID period, especially. Now, having got into understanding that there is a huge challenge, and then we have got that compounded because of COVID-19 pandemic when it comes to packaging, let's very quickly visit some fundamental concepts before we roll on to how do we respond to that change. First is we got to understand what do we mean by a concept, what we say life cycle thinking. And life cycle thinking, with packaging perspective, if we see, where we do require raw materials to be extracted, like paper as one example. And that sourcing, then packaging format design, its use, going through distribution of products, and there's an end of life of that packaging, which is going to be leading to waste, which often goes otherwise to the landfills. And this kind of a life cycle thinking is so important for us to understand the hotspots, where the issues are and how can we deal with these hotspots. Now, this concept, if we were to write a definition, it is a systematic or systemic framework that takes a holistic view of production and consumption. So when we talk about packaging waste, it tells us that you got to go all the way upstream to redesign the package itself. We just can't be downstream only, that we need to figure out how do we recycle the used packaging, or how do we safely dispose that packaging. But we got to think upstream that how can we influence the packaging design itself. And that's what we call life cycle management, where we go to this problem statement in an integrated perspective. And that's what is the right strategy to take, and not just limit to the what we call downstream, and then handling the challenge of packaging. Now, this is where you would see in the life cycle that every milestone of that life cycle, right from the design, transport and distribution, and then if you look at the potentials of reusing that wasted material, all of this tell us that life cycle thinking is a way that we could identify all these impacts and work on these impacts and reduce the risk to our ecosystems. And that's where the concept, as you all know, of sustainability comes in, that we are bringing all these dimensions of economic and environmental and social performance, and then come up with a strategy towards managing the risk while we have a transparency and a culture within the organization to look at sustainability in practice. So if you come back to that packaging part, what we discussed, the production and the product packaging domain, where we do the extraction of resources, what we ought to do is how can we minimize the consumption of resource, innovate the better formats of packaging onwards to consumption domain, where how can we have reverse logistics to get back the packaging waste. More importantly, I think the chairperson stressed a lot on the consumer awareness and the change in the social behavior. Unless that happens, we are not in a position to bring in the sustainability dimension in managing the packaging waste. That's where the circularity concept comes in. And we talk about circular economy, which is essentially regenerative and restorative economy. And see the power of the concept. We're talking here of redesigning the production and the consumption systems. That's important. So many times people equate circularity to recycling. No, not at all. It's a much wider and broader canvas where we are going from life cycle thinking, right from upstream to downstream. And very importantly, if any policy or planning intervention on circularity has to succeed, we have to work on the behavioral change. Otherwise, you will not see results of any of these circularity related initiatives. We need, therefore, a systems approach. That is many times is called a paradigm shift. It's not a marginal needle movement. It's a completely different paradigm shift that we have to think about. So we will, in this process, shift from what we do, what we talk about linear economy to a circular economy, where we want to make use of, to the extent we can, the local and the renewable resources. This is where the Atmanirbharta concept fits in. Dematerialization, increase in virtualization, inclusive growth where we bring in the informal sector together, recovery of resources, and very importantly, extending products. So something which is a throwaway society, we want to move to a responsible society. That's the whole idea of circularity. Having done the basic concept, let's move to one very important practical concept when it comes to sustainable packaging, is the life cycle assessment and life cycle assessment tools. In the life cycle assessment, our idea is to evaluate all the inputs and outputs, the material and energy flow, which goes into the entire life cycle. So we inventorize and figure out what are we extracting, what are we consuming, what kind of waste streams are we generating in the entire production and the consumption cycle. And that life cycle in packaging, we want to look at every element of choice of materials, its format, its conversion into a package, its distribution, and then how do we then interface during the use of that abundant plastic after the packaging is no longer needed, and how do we manage the end of life to introduce recycling, composting, energy recovery, and only when done, we send it to the landfills. So at every stage of that life cycle of packaging, you can see these side boxes. I'm not walking you through each of those, but I think that they're good enough to give you an idea that there are several opportunities for us to intervene. I call them many times as intersecting opportunities across the life cycle. And that's, I would call, the most important element here is innovation. We got to be thinking completely out of the box. And that out of the box generates the alternatives. A life cycle assessment tells you, let's look at different material. Let's look at different design. Let's look at how can I get back or get packaging back again through reverse logistics for a better use and not let it go as such to the landfill. A comparative assessment of alternatives is actually possible when we apply such tools of life cycle assessment. So life cycle assessment is getting increasingly used today towards sustainable packaging. And now the term we're using is circular packaging, which is quite relevant because circularity is playing a very important role. And these tools are helpful for us to decide the packaging in terms of how good it is from sustainability point of view. So every package that we look at, He will look at what is the fossil fuel consumption, what is the water consumption across the life cycle, mineral consumption, greenhouse gas emissions. Basic 8 variables we will look at for every package in format that we are looking at. And when we work on it, we make use of some of the databases and softwares. I've given here 2 examples which are extremely, I would say, popularly used for sustainable packaging. These are Compass and Picket, and they help you to evaluate the performance of a package. So once you provide the inputs in this software, these are typical results, what you see on the screen. They say, okay, if you have this packaging design, this is what it means in terms of impacts across the life cycle, right? So it looks at each of these components during the manufacturing, distribution, end of life, and so on and so forth. This is another interesting output coming from the second software, Picket. And all these evaluation tools are used by the packaging designers to come up with better and better design. So here are the inputs in the packaging software. We give everything about what materials are we using, what are the weight, what is the thickness, what are the adhesives, what is the labeling, everything is counted in these software tools. And once we do that and provide the data, we get an assessment. Now that in this part we understood earlier that there are tools available, they are actually used. Many of these multinational organizations in the FMCG sector particularly indeed use these softwares for decision making on packaging. Now let's get into some interesting examples when I'm closing this speech. The examples are several. Let me give you first, very much talked about, is Puma's clever little bag. And the design was so innovative. This is the power of the design. It reduced the cardboard consumption by 65%. And imagine the huge advantage you are getting on the point of view of reduction in the impact. And it doesn't require assembling, and huge savings of paper, electricity, water, and greenhouse gas reduction. What a clever design to pack a shoe, which was done by Puma. It was called therefore as a Puma's clever little bag. You have another example from Procter and Gamble here, which is talking about here a completely rethinking done of plastic packaging. They actually did it by using a technology called PureCycle to recycle the polypropylene almost in a new condition. You can use it again. So you have a strong reverse logistics being built in, and you're recovering the material and reusing it again. So this is an example of a recycled material. Again, Ariel is a case where the innovation in the material moving in a new gel format tremendously reduced the consumption of water and energy. So that's again an innovation gone in the material itself. So remember, you have both possibilities, the material as well as the packaging format and the packaging material. This is an example of HUL where they moved towards reusable, recyclable, and compostable packaging. And they came up with the whole idea of refill packaging. And that reduced significantly, you would see here in this slide, a amount of emissions and waste generated. But they started talking about using rPET or recycled PET in reducing the consumption of the virgin PET fibers.
I'm sorry to hold you. We can't see the examples here. Am I the only person missing, Ashu?
Sir, I think we are not. We are just seeing the slide part 4 right now.
Oh,
Which
let
is the
me
showing.
reshare. Let me share because these are very interesting examples. What I was
See
talking
any of the
about.
examples, Prasadji? We could not see any of the examples here. Whatever you just spoke.
I'm going to take you through by just resharing my screen. I think that should take care of it. Just a moment.
Sure, sir. Sure. Yes, Puma, I can see, we can see now.
Are you able to see?
Yeah, Puma 1.
Yeah,
This is one clever little bag.
correct. So you are able to see the Puma example, right? So
Right, right.
just a sec. You know, this slide sharing has been, I think, probably a problem. But these examples that I am on now, Puma, let me just see. Give me a second. Uh, let's see, situation here. Let me see. You know, you can hear me all right?
Yes, sir, we can hear you properly.
Okay. I got it now. So, let's see.
So we are at slide number 28 right now.
Yeah, and I'm just trying to reach the screen here. All right.
Yes, the 32 now, the refill packaging for HUL.
Yeah. And now can you see?
Yes, sir, we can see that.
Right. So I was talking about Puma. Uh, this is the one I talked about, a clever little bag, just a design giving you so much an advantage. And the next example was where Procter and Gamble used recycled material. They did that using what is called pure cycle technologies. And you have similar such examples coming in from Ariel, which talked about material innovation itself and moving with a new gel format. They cut down consumption of water and energy. HUL came with reusable, recyclable, and compostable packaging and using rPET, recycled PET fiber. I was talking about that. So that led to huge reduction in the waste generation. And I was here when bio-based materials were used by Deham, and that led to, again, in terms of compostable solution, when the packaging was discarded. And you have something very interesting, which is now quite coming up and already done in India here, is seeds are placed in the packaging. So when you abandon the packaging, there is an opportunity that there could be a germination of a plant, good for the nature point of view. So you have even such packaging formats coming up. You have another very clever design of a shoebox, and that makes it basically the package on abandoning becomes a shoebox for you. So this is again a great concept, right? That the packaging, once discarded, is becoming another byproduct which you can actually use to place your shoes. And in the COVID times, you also have new formats for distributing vaccines. And this is giving you a very different style of the design of sustainable thermal insulating packaging, which is made from renewable plant-based component and paper. So people have gone in detail, even in the COVID situation, taking a case at how do you distribute vaccines, what kind of packaging can be used to reduce the packaging waste. We talked about gift packaging, which is very relevant.
Dr. Modak, sorry to interrupt you in between. That I think is still the same. The screen is not showing. We are all only on the HUL presentation right now. So
Oh,
yeah.
is the challenge here, because here moving.
Are you using the two screens or one screen right now? I think it seems like
And now, can you see?
not yet, sir. Only the same slide.
There is some slide problem. Looks like. Let me stop and reshare.
Sure, sir, please.
I'm stopping sharing, and now I'm going to reshare. That should.
It has not even stopped. It has not even stopped here.
Yeah, I just
Yeah.
did
Yeah,
that.
that's-
Now
Now it's
Are you
clear.
able to see?
Yeah.
Now it's coming. Okay. So I don't know whether you see the screen now.
Yeah, we
Ashok,
can
please
see the
slide and get it done, no, please.
yeah, we can see the HUL screen right now. The HUL slide. So we can see the bio-based DHAL bio-based compositable materials right now. Slide
And
number
are you able
16.
to see now? This is a slide for vaccines.
Okay.
Can you see now this slide?
This slide for the Max shoebox.
For distributing vaccines.
Oh no, sir, I think the screen is not shared now.
Okay. See what we can do quickly, because I'm almost at the end, and I don't want your. Okay.
But I think you are sharing a very great examples that we want to see that. That's the reason that we want to see that.
Now tell me. Is it visible?
Not yet, sir.
Nothing is coming, is it?
Nothing is coming.
Okay, let me reshare. Okay, it's showing here to the
Sir, we can, I can ask Amit to share. Amit has your presentation. So can I ask him to share? Because if you are facing some
Oh yeah,
problem
that
in
will
that.
be good.
Yeah, Amit,
Yeah.
can you just share it?
Yes, yes.
Amit, give me presenter right, please. I'll share. Amit. Thank you, Amit. I'm sharing.
And go part 5.
Yes, sir. Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, sir.
Shall I move next?
Yeah, next slide.
I am at sustainable packaging example, bio-based.
Okay, so now,
Yeah. Now it is growable seed pod.
yeah, so we were at that slide. I think as you change, I'm not able to see at my end. So let me just
So
see.
switch off your video, sir. Switch off your video.
I think some internet problem. So I think you can switch off the video. So the
Now
bandwidth
I've
will
done
be
that.
increased.
This is the video. So what you can do that you can tell me which slide you are now, and I'll open from my end. So you are at the slide seed pod, right?
Yeah. I am at growable seed pod. Yes.
Correct. Correct. This is the about the packaging itself. You embed seeds. Once the packaging started, then you have a advantage that it can also be plant. So that already here available in the practice myself did for the 15, 20 years ago. Taking quite a lot. I think now you case shoots.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Right. This is a very line that you see can the carry see this the package was in no longer of design reasons use the box as a back or a carry bag. So this kind of impose using it
After
a out. IKEA example
Doctor.
has you make large boxes chair out of it. So when you buy 5 chairs, this chair you can make from the leftover packaging, do it yourself kind of a thing. So these are kind of interesting designs. What you see, this packaging. Can we move to the next? This kind of concept has gone in for distributing vaccine. I think it's right now. So this talks about
Yeah.
very time third packaging, but made from renewable plant. So this becomes it complete. When we do expanded, which is otherwise conventionally used, replaces that using clamp cell. Next slide. So this gift packaging.
Dr. Prasad sir, I think your voice is breaking in between. So there's an audio issue. I am getting it. I think I'm also feeling the same. So we can go through the slides, sir. I think we can go through the slides during that time. So Neeraj sir, can you help us to go through the slide, and we can go over that presentation.
Yes,
Neeraj
please.
sir, can you hold the next slide, please?
Yes, please. So next is this one, a sustainable gift packaging
Gifting
option.
packaging.
Yeah.
Right. So
So
it is
these are reusable fabric wrap, Japanese tradition fabric wrap, craft papers, gift bag, newspaper gift wraps.
right.
So it's all about that. Then we have part 5, which is sustainable packaging policies across the globe. EU packaging directives and innovation, which is the key to success. Then there are packaging policies across the globe. I mean, various countries, those who have various packaging policies across the globe. So we have Australia.
Prasad sir, would you like to highlight on this? I feel your voice is better now. Can you speak now? I think some problem. Sorry about technical glitches. So I think we can go through the slides, Neeraj sir. Meanwhile.
So these are various packaging policies across the globe from Australia, China, India, Canada, European Union, and United States. So like in India, we have legislation favors recyclable substrates and formats. It's like that. Then is EU directive on packaging and packaging waste. It's really a wonderful slide. So these are directives on packaging and packaging waste. The focus is recycling and reuse of packaging waste. And the principle is protect environment and human health from hazardous material in packaging. And the key highlights are, yes, Ashu, would you like to add?
Nothing, sir. I think already.
So it is meet recycling and reuse targets for 2025 up to 65% and 2030 up to 70%. Then potential to create 170,000 direct jobs in EU, avoid 600 million tons of carbon dioxide emission, and manufacturers and retailers to follow directives standard for packaging. And these are Singapore packaging agreement. So wonderful work is going around across the globe. All the countries, Australia, China, India, and other countries are working very hard towards this. Let's bring your own Singapore movement began in 2017. Retailers offered incentives to customers for bringing their own bags, bottles, containers, and 430 retail outlets reduced 2.5 million pieces of plastic disposable.
Yes, sir. I think we will share this presentation to among all the participants because we are lacking the time now. I think we have question. Okay, that's the last slide. Great. So I'm really sorry for the technical glitch at this moment and the last, but I think the wonderful presentation because as a technical person, I have learned a new thing which is life cycle inventory or the life cycle. Of course, LCA, we know that what we have to do, but circular economy, which we think is just a recycling, it is not just a recycling, it is far ended. Thank you, Dr. Prasad sir. I think that is a great presentation. I have several questions in the question and answer box. I will take up at the end of the all session. So I would like to invite our next speaker because we want to listen him to understand more. So Dr. R. Ranga Prasad ji is a business head of Packaging 360, and Mr. Ranga Prasad is a polymer the packaging professional over the 25 years experience, and he has been involved in training consultancies, a chemical technologist by the training from the prestigious UICT. So I think the introduction is, I think you can see on the slides. And sir, I think I thank you so much for giving your time to the ASSOCHAM Rajasthan team and Rajasthan Pollution Control Board. We would like to hear from you that what is going on and what will the next. Over to you, sir.
Thank you so much. Good morning, everyone. Madam Venu Gupta and distinguished office bearers of Rajasthan State Pollution Control Board and ASSOCHAM Rajasthan State Development Council, RSDC. Thank you for giving this opportunity for me to share a couple of market trends in sustainable packaging. We've listened to Dr. Modak on some of the fundamentals and the framework and how it is actually now translating the practice of sustainable packaging into evolution of the circular economy. So I'll go a step further and try to share
We can see the screen, sir.
Are you able to see the slide clearly?
Yes, sir.
Now am I audible clearly?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you. So let's pick up the market trends in sustainable packaging. Chairperson pointed out to certain things or the expectations from the policymakers. And so we'll try to examine in this short presentation whether the market is moving in that direction or not. So the scope of the talk would be restricted to packaging and to look at it from a sustainability point of view. How does it fit into the sustainability definition? And look at some of the key issues. It's not just a very simple idea of just material replacement, ban plastics and go to something else. but there are a whole lot of scientific and technology issues which have to be sorted out before we really come up with what is called a sustainable packaging. And let's also look at some of the key market developments in this field in the last couple of, let's say, 6 months period. We'll try to pick up some of the key developments. So a simple definition of sustainability from a marketing perspective is meeting the needs of current generation without negatively impacting the ability of future generation to meet their own needs. So this is a definition which was evolved in 1988. And as Dr. Modak has already pointed out, life cycle thinking and life cycle analysis is a true measure of sustainability. There are the ISO and the ASTM and BDI standards in place to quantify the concept of sustainability. We've done a lot of work along with Dr. Modak's team in assimilating or transmitting or disseminating this information to brand owners through dedicated workshops, and the response has been pretty good. Now, what are these sustainable strategies? It fairly involves the concept of reuse, recycling, and recovery of plastic waste, which is the fundamental for defining a strong circular economy. And this is what is referred to as the Green Deal of the European Commission. Now, reuse implies the use of the same product without essential changes in the use cycle. And of course, I'd like you to pay a little more important or attention to this particular slide, because some of the market examples that you're going to see from major packaging companies or brand owners later on in this presentation will revolve around reuse, the material recycling, which could be melting, or what is commonly called mechanical recycling, or dissolution, which means solvent-based purification of the waste. Then you have a new emerging area of chemical recycling, which implies processing of plastic waste using chemical reaction, therefore changing the chemical constitution of the polymer. It could be depolymerization. For example, you could recover styrene monomer from polystyrene or thermocol waste. You could involve pyrolysis reactions or gasification, and the resulting in such a way that the resulting chemical feedstock will be used to process and polymerize the original plastic again. So world in the European Union, chemical recycling is going in a big way. A lot of players like INEOS and other companies are working extensively on chemical recycling. Then you have what is called feedstock recovery, which means the processing of plastic waste with chemical reaction through depolymerization, solvolysis, and gasification. And lastly, we come to energy recovery, which means the input into a device where the energy content of the plastic waste is used. So with these sustainable options or sustainable strategies, let's look at what are the trends that are happening in the market. Now, the trends are usually in terms of new material developments or trying to develop a more what is called sustainability, sustainable materials. It could also be in terms of material handling and recovery. Some of this was already in the earlier slide. Then we also are looking at biodegradability and compostability, a movement that is gathering a lot of pace in the United States. For example, people are talking about developing more and more compostable materials, industrial composting and home composting based packaging. And one thing to remember in this whole discussion is that sustainability means different things to different users. And for example, the paper industry has its own way of looking at sustainability. The metal industry, metal can industry, for example, has a different perspective. Glass industry has its own. But the problem is we all talk about sustainability when it comes to plastics. There are certain examples which when we come to single-use plastics. So what are these alternatives? One of the points that was referred to in the earlier part of the address by the chief guest was what do you do in occasions like wedding? So this is where, the biodegradable cutlery or crockery, they come in handy as an alternative to single-use plastics. But I'm not going to go much deeper into this, but I'm only going to talk about how technology is driving market changes. And one of the major, I think the chief guest also referred to this, is can we have a single packaging concept that is not a combination of materials? So there are now recyclable pouches which have been launched in Germany. These are for fruit bars. Then on the right hand side, you see a company called Emsor, which is which is propagating a material called Full Rflex, which is a range of polyethylene and polypropylene based flexible packaging. These are all 100% monomaterial based. Either they are based on polyethylene, simple polythene, or simple polypropylene, and 100% recyclable. And when we say paper, the paper industry also believes that they are offering sustainable solutions. You have Mitsubishi High-Tech Paper, which is offering recyclable barrier papers for food and non-food packaging. You have barrier-coated paper for packaging. So the paper industry will also try to position solutions which are aimed at eliminating or plastics as a barrier packaging concept. So the alternative that you get from barrier paper is that these are recoverable and also recyclable in the existing paper recycling stream. Now you have, let's say, for example, PET, which is a well-established material. Even in India, we recycle almost close to more than 95% of PET bottles in India. It's a well-established industry. But the question now, the next level of improvement is that, can you now devise a packaging based on 100% recycled content? That means, can you make a bottle from recovered PET bottle? So there are developments happening, especially for over-the-counter drugs. So it has reached that stage where it is now even suitable for packaging multivitamins and those kind of products made from 100% post-consumer recyclates. On the other hand, the right-hand side of the slide, I'm showing you a picture of Sri Chakra Polyplast, which has now commissioned India's first food-grade plastic recycling facility. Now, there is a very popular marketing trend in the European Union that they want PET, and especially driven by companies like Pepsi, PepsiCo, Coca-Cola, etc., who want to use their recovered or recycled PET content for that back into the PET bottle. So, as of now, recycled content in food grade application has a very limited scope in India. But I think now with this facility and the FSSAI revisiting some of those concerns regarding the use of recycled content, this will also become another very important market development. And as pointed out in the first slide, is it possible to do a pouch-to-pouch recycling? So that means if it has to fit the perfect definition of a circular packaging, can I take a pouch which was used in the first application, discarded, and then brought back to again make a pouch? So the companies like Dow, HP Indigo, Reifenhauser, etc., are now able to offer a solution where the pouches can undergo repeated recycling pouch to pouch. So that means there's no change in the material form. So one of the best examples of how it would fit into the circular economy definition. And companies are also looking at maximizing recycled content in lamination or laminates, multi-layer laminates. And here is an example from Constantia Flexibles, which is now using up to 80% recycled content in a polyethylene film. And it is called EcoLam, as the word suggests. It is main eco-friendly laminate from packaging waste. India, HUL, I think some of these examples were also shared in the previous presentation. HUL has now switched to the use of 50% recycled plastic bottle. And this is a classic example of how a brand owner can work with a recycler and then standardize a product which is typically a high-moving, fast-moving consumer durable product. Here's an example of Surf Excel Matic, which is now using 50% recycled HDPE in plastic bottle for detergent packaging. Now here's another combination, or here's another milestone introduced by Greiner Packaging in Europe. And this is if you have a combination of cardboard and plastic. Now they have come up with a technology which is called self-separating cup, which will now separate easily when it goes into the recycling facility, so that paper can be removed, recovered, and then sent to the paper recycling stream. The plastic cup can also be recovered and sent to the plastic recycling. So it is now possible to even have a combination materials which can be easily separated and sent to the respective recycling streams. A revolutionary concept introduced by Procter & Gamble is called the paper bottle concept, which is essentially, a biodegradable material. My own understanding is that there must be a material like polyethylene furanoid, which is the base polymer onto which a paper is wrapped. There are many reservations about the paper bottle, but nevertheless, a beginning has been made with a pilot project being used for shampoo and detergent packaging, etc. On the right-hand side is a similar paper bottle concept introduced by a company called Kagzi. This is an Indian-based startup, which is making a bottle from waste paper pulp, claimed to be 100% compostable. This is also used for non-food applications at the present moment of time. Now, what are the potential substitute materials for thermocol or expanded polystyrene? There was a reference made in the earlier presentation too, but now you have a 100% cellulose-based foam, which is called Papira by a company called Stora Enso. Stora Enso also operates in India. Now, this cellulose-based foam is now offers a potential substitute for apparently non-recyclable or difficult to recycle thermocol or expanded polystyrene. So this would be a big boon if it goes on a commercial scale, especially for e-commerce packaging, where you see, or even for heavy-duty packaging, industrial packaging, which uses a lot of foam-based material for protective packaging. So this is a notable market development. Then you have SL Propack collaborating with Colgate-Palmolive to introduce the first ever recyclable toothpaste tubes. It is already launched in India on a pilot scale, and hopefully it will pick up momentum. So this will be a partial answer to the concept, to the problem of waste or littering. No discussion on sustainable packaging is complete without a discussion on biodegradable or compostable packaging. There is a move in the US because of on the concept of composting, which is now becoming very popular in the US. Industrial composting facilities are available in most part of the US, and therefore Frito-Lay, which is a division of PepsiCo and leader in snack foods, is introducing an industrially composting bag for its of the Eaton Path brand. So we'll track these developments because now standards are available. So it will be interesting to see, because snack food is the one that is causing the problem of littering, because you use multi-layer or laminate packaging, which is use and throw, and that has given plastics its bad image as far as food packaging is concerned. So we hope that with the commercialization of this industrially compostable bags, we will make one more milestone in biodegradable packaging. Now, the question that we often ask is, has the 2022 ban against single-use plastic been well thought out? Because every time there is a government directive or there is a framework that is announced, it leads to more confusion and a lot of implementation on the ground. The industry, there is a communication gap. There is a disconnect between what is laid out. Although the concept of EPR and other regulatory frameworks are in place, but on the ground we still find that there is a lacuna in implementation. So this is something which we will have to think over and then evolve a very, very comprehensive policy, so that the small to medium scale industries, which makes these single-use plastics like carry bag, etc., drinking cups, etc., they are also protected and they are not thrown out of business in one go. On the other hand, there is we can take pride in the fact that India will be one of the first Asian country to launch a plastic pack, which is a platform with the involvement of WWF India and CII to promote a circular system for plastics in India. And hopefully this will be a good platform to evolve a very comprehensive science-based strategy to help the industry and other stakeholders. On the other hand, the World Packaging Organization and ECR community has released a very comprehensive document on what is called a recycling guide and a global recommendation for circular packaging design. It is available on their website as a downloadable document. And those of you who are keen on reading this packaging design for recycling can go to this site and download this document. It will serve as a very useful guide when you now start looking at rethinking packaging, mainly from a design point of view, designed for recycling. One of the most important part of sustainable or in circular economy is how do you communicate the advantages or a so-called the advantages of sustainability in your packaging. So Unilever has taken the initiative. They have introduced or they have now declaring their carbon footprint labels on their food packaging, and one of them was launched recently in the US, in the UK. And on the right-hand side, you will see that now many of the brand owners have also started adding carbon labels to their packaging. This is a very, very long-term and significant aspect of sustainability communication, which will now empower the new generation consumers to see how really if the claims made by these companies really fit the definition of sustainability or circularity. Another interesting concept is in the area of sustainable packaging or sustainable plastics or circular plastics is what is called the plastic footprint. You will find plastic footprint definition-wise is an indicator to measure the negative impact of plastics pollution associated with a company's operation and supply chain. And in layman's term, it calculates how much plastic waste a company generates and the associated negative impacts on society, environment, and economy. This has been introduced by a company called Amplify. Dominic Sanchi is the CEO. It's a startup based out of Switzerland. And if you'd like to know more about the plastic footprint, you can go to our website, www.packaging360, where we did a podcast with them. Interesting concept, helps to quantify the claims made in terms of sustainability or circularity. Now, as I said in the beginning of this presentation, that sustainability means different things to different people. So we've talked about plastics and the bad word, that the bad image that plastics has got. But the fact of the matter is that, you know, the study by Resource Recycling Systems indicates that metal cans, beverage cans, are the most widely practiced or used and efficiently recycled packaging in the world today. So almost a global weighted average of about 69% of aluminum-based cans is recycled compared to PET, which is 43%, and glass, which is approximately 46%. So as I said, circularity and sustainability means different to different packaging industry stakeholders. Of course, there are a lot of issues when it comes to plastic packaging. There is, if you want to make it food grade, use more and more recycled content, odor, which is generated during the recycling process, or in contaminated food waste. These are all issues or key issues which have to be sorted out before you start incorporating more and more recycled content in food packaging, and also in non-food packaging. It's the odor which will always be an issue. So there are companies now offering technologies which will help to eliminate these kind of problems. So what is the sustainable packaging outlook for 2021 and beyond? More and more companies will have announced sustainable packaging goals. They have created actionable plans, as you have seen in this presentation. Companies innovate to boost end markets for recycled plastics. Brands replace substrates to meet recovery goals. Companies are starting to take reusable packaging more seriously, and material health. The slide that I just referred to in terms of, you know, becoming more amenable to reuse in packaging as far as odor and organoleptics are concerned, that will also become an important issue in subsequent years. So the R's keep on increasing. When we look at sustainability, we talked about renewable, we talked about reduction, we talked about reuse, recycle. There is another trend now in UK. ASDA has introduced a completely refillable store where you can just take your old cans or bottles and go there and refill. Uh, Come to think of it, 30, 40 years back, we used to do the same thing. The Western world used to laugh at all this concept. But today, I think they're going ahead. And all it would mean is that now we have to start rethinking packaging. So I don't know how many more R's will be added in subsequent years, but it's nice to know that people have different concepts, different ideas, which one will really fit in. That's for all of us to decide and make it a pollution-free environment for the subsequent generation. So with this, thank you so much for your attention. It was a pleasure to be here with everyone this morning. I hope you have some idea based on these two presentations. If you'd like to know more, you can go to our website, which is a digital platform where you will find a host of knowledge dissemination, white papers, interviews, news items, podcasts on this subject, insights from world leaders, a plethora of knowledge that you can gain on Packaging 360, and that's the foundation of our company. It's called Packaging 360. So we look at the 360-degree approach for making sustainable packaging. So thank you once again for this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Dr. Ranga Prasad ji. I think a lot of new ideas comes up in my mind. And of course, the one R which was missing is the refuse. So first start R from the refusing the things that of course. So I think that R, as you are correctly said, whenever I see the new presentation, and one R get added on that. So great, I think, sir, but you have given a lot of great ideas, which is coming in my mind to do something in that. So great questions. I think I can see the several questions coming up. So, but of course, due to the time limit, I will take up 4 or 5 questions from the audience. So I have some personal messages also comes up on the personal chat box. So I'll take up the questions now for all the panelists, and this is for all the panelists. The first question from Asmita Gupta. She's asking the please suggest opinion on sustainable packaging for sanitary napkins and diapers, hygiene industry in India. Is there anything happening? Anyone? Any panelist?
For these kind of products, sustainability will be regarded as a biomedical waste, not from a hospital source, but from a domestic source. So it will have to follow the norms which are normally used, because there is a certain degree of safety and protocol that have to be involved. So unlike food packaging or FMCG packaging, a drastic shift will not happen immediately, but there are certain materials which are used, like polypropylene based non-wovens, which are and polypropylene is a very very easy material to recycling. The Indian recycling industry is well geared to take up the disposal and handling of these kind of packaging system. But by and large, it's not been attempted in India. It mostly ends up in the landfill. But yes, this is a good area for companies to think about. And just like the FMCG companies and food companies, which have now giving solutions, even for this very important sector, I think some of these ideas are worth looking into, because this is a problem on the ground.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for sharing this. And then the next question to, I think, the Pollution Control Board. Someone asked Sudhir Yadav, do the Pollution Control Board have any policy to encourage packaging industry person to work on recycling business and generate employment?
Just let me add, recently there is a draft notification of 6th October. It's now laid down guidelines for plastic-based EPR, and that lays how much each player, like the producer, the brand owner, or the importer, has to recollect, how much he has to recycle, how much he has to reuse, and then there is a policy by which there are targets for each of these things, and then he is required to pay a nominal compensation in case he fails to meet those targets. So now the legal framework is almost ready. It's a draft notification, and maybe in a period of 2 months it will be implemented. After which all the plastic waste, which is required to be collected, recycle, reuse. Even there are norms how much recycled content will be reused in your packaging. So the rules are to be implemented in the entire country very shortly. So the legal framework do exist now.
Definitely, sir. Thank you so much, Dr. Singhal, for sharing this thought. I think that is great to know. I think that is the people were not aware. Great. So we have some international delegates also, some Myron
One more thing I want to
Mendes.
say is,
Please, sir, please.
I'd like to add that now there are companies in India which are recycling the sanitary napkins. I know one company, Pet Care, which have developed, machines which can be stored in toilets where the entire sanitary napkins are recycled to different, waste streams. Professor Modak also knows him. So I mean, now there are companies that are this field to recycling the sanitary napkins.
Great, sir. Thank you so much for highlighting that also. So there is another question from Myron Mendes. I think they are asking that how do we address behavior change with the consumer? Because the packaging is something the consumer wants. So how can we change the behavior? Because this is something the questions comes up. The people are saying that plastic is banned, but still the consumers are not aware. So what is the idea? How can we do that? Behavioral change in the consumer. A question for anyone.
Can I take this question?
Yes, yes, ma'am. I think you are the best one to speak on that.
So,
Yeah.
see, no behavioral change is easy. We need to understand that, and it takes a lot of time and effort to bring about that behavioral change. But it can happen over a period of time by educating people through various IEC measures, which the government is trying to do, and also through regulatory frameworks. For example, the extended producer responsibility rules, which are now being amended. So all the FMCG companies, all the big producers, they are bound to follow those rules. So this kind of behavioral change will come from both sides, from the consumer side as well as from the producer side. As for the consumers, I think we have to no option but to spread more and more awareness. That shift is sometimes a bit difficult, but there is no other way. So more IEC measures, more discussions, and certainly the behavioral changes will take place.
I'm sure, ma'am. I think this is the only way. I think the 130, more than 130 people are watching. I'm sure the 10% behavioral change will happen after this webinar. So this is the ASSOCHAM will take a place that for the industry members. Slowly, slowly, you correctly said, the consumer side and the demand and supply, both the changes are required. So we'll take up. Thank you so much, ma'am. The next question I think I'll take up. There's a question from Mr. Kamit Kakkar. They are asking, what do you suggest for packing of food supplied through Swiggy and Zomato through restaurants? And that is increasing every day. And as anyone, I think Dr. Ranga Prasad, Dr. Prashad Modak, anything you want to share that, because this is the online food and a lot of packing comes up during the food delivery. How we can, what do you suggest for them? I think Dr. Prashad, Dr. Modak, you are on mute.
I was just suggesting whether Dr. Ranga Prasad would like to take this.
See, there are two things. One is a lot of these food aggregators, they have been experimenting with different models of packaging. One is, having steel containers, let's say for the what do you call, the bio-based or what you call cellulose-based trays and those kind of cutlery items, basically for delivering food. They tried one such scheme in Bangalore where they offered to take back a couple of these reused or the discarded steel containers or aluminum containers. But I think in the long run, we all know they are in business. So commercially, it doesn't make any sense for them to really look after packaging. For them, they are aggregators meant to deliver. But there are attempts made by these companies because this is a short shelf life. Maybe you would expect a maximum of say 1 to 1.5 hours of shelf life, of these kind of products. It's from the restaurant to the home. So what works cheapest is what is being promoted today as a sustainable material for the online food aggregators. So you'll find when you open, something like a liquid product will be in a polypropylene container or a PET container, whereas the other ones will come in with some kind of, the wood-based or cell fiber-based cutlery items. There are no specific recommendations because this is a price-driven market. So even if
All
you
right.
see in case of the online items like the electronic items or any other items that you order, what I see today is there is just a tendency to just because somebody has said ban plastics. Okay, now you rush and you try to use crumpled newspaper or something else. Somebody says my bag is biodegradable without substantiating any claims or any proof. So we are in that confused scenario. So if you have to design a packaging is always related to the kind of interaction that you deal with the product. It cannot be given in isolation. For example, when there are companies like HP where you order, for example, the protective packaging in case of say shavers that you order online, they have completely replaced the polystyrene packing with cellulose-based foam. So something similar to that, food industry, we will have to think of it. As of now, nobody's paying any attention because this is a very short delivery cycle. So whatever is economical will work in this industry. There are no definite solutions for this.
Thank you, sir. I think you correctly said, and because I have seen when I ordered to either the Zomato or the Swiggy, there's an option comes no cutlery also. So as a consumer, I can say I can tick on that. There is no cutlery or the accessories will come up. So this is also a one way to reduce that. So, but consumer recently I came to know that Google has launched that if you are going to put in some hotel, that how much wastage or how much sustainability aspects of that hotel, so the people can understand, can review all these things while selecting a hotel or the restaurant or the consumer which review. So great. I think, sir, we have several other questions also, but I think there's a time constraint. We are already one. So I think I will close here that, but of course I will over to Neeraj sir for the fourth. I want to thank each and everyone for a wonderful session, because I learned personally a lot, because I'm in a sustainable areas in the building sector, but I learned a lot new things what happening in the packaging, and these kind of awareness program definitely energize the new startups to come in this category, to come forward. And waste is a wealth, that is for sure. Waste is a wealth, and we need to reduce that, and we need to capture that market. So thank you, sir, and over to you, Neeraj sir, for the next proceeding.
Thank you, Ashu. Thank you for the wonderful moderation. And before inviting our Chairman for Environment, Waste and Water Committee, Architect Gaurav Agrawal ji, I would like to read a quotation by Mahatma Gandhi ji, and this quotation is being endorsed by Rajasthan State Pollution Control Board also on the website. So this is the earth, the air, the land and the water are not an inheritance from our forefather, but on loan from our children. So we have to hand over to them at least as it was handed over to us. There is a sufficiency in the world for men's need, but not for men's greed. So this is a self-sufficient statement. I think it includes everything, and it answers the behavioral requirement of a human being also. So thank you so much. And now I would like to invite Architect Gaurav Agrawal ji. Gaurav Agrawal ji is the chairman for ASSOCHAM Rajasthan Committee on Environment, Water and Renewable Energy, and is principal architect from GADS, Associate Professor, Code VGU. So over to you, Gaurav ji.
Thank you, Neeraj ji. And I really thought to start my this thing with few lines, and you have endorsed it by quoting up an example or quoting up a quote from Mahatma Gandhi. I believe that sustainable packaging must meet the functional and economic needs of the present without compromising anything from the future generation. That's what the thing is very sparkling, and that is what the need of time is. And moreover, I believe that currently plastic, glass, metal, paper, and foils. These are the materials which are used for packaging. And ma'am has also added up like cloth and certain kind of straws and etc. etc. Out of which plastic constitutes almost half of the total content of this packaging industry. So we have to really think of an alternate substitute to the plastic. And these all packaging material as a whole constitutes around 65% of total waste which is generated globally. And this plastic is definitely a harm to the environment. We have to literally drag off this single-use plastic because it impacts the land as well as the ocean. Nothing is been unaffected by this thing. Moreover, I believe that there should be materials to be developed which can be a real alternate to the plastics, and researchers and agriculture industries coming up with the material which is dairy-based films rather than the petroleum-based films. We must also think of that small piece of plastic which we cut off while we use these milk packets or probably the packets for chips and biscuits and namkeens. We generally cut off that small fringe out of it. So how to take care of that? In case of the plastic bottles in which we drink water, we throw off the cap. So cap is a different constituent and the bottle is a different constituent. Maybe they are attached to each other, can be sent for the process. So this is certain concerns which should be taken care of. And I believe that if technology and our this research and development will go off, the cost will also be cost effective. I don't think that it is much costly. And from last 1.5 years, we are all in this pandemic, sitting at home and ordering things online from Amazon and Flipkart. And just imagine the amount of packaging which goes into these products as well. Since this festive season is round the corner and we'll be exchanging gifts within ourselves, and they again consumes a huge this waste. So I wish to urge each and everyone present here to reduce and refuse the fancy packaging. At least we can start phasing it out. Probably not at one go, but if we start phasing it out, we can achieve this. And if we sincerely practice, we can achieve this in the near future. So this is what, Neeraj Bhai, I wish to communicate from this platform. And I, chairman of this Committee of Environment and Waste Management, along with my co-chairman, Mr. Prasad Juneja, would like to thank our chief guest, Srimati Veenu Gupta ji, who is chairperson, Rajasthan State Pollution Control Board, for accepting our invitation and to be a keynote speaker today. I would also like to thank Dr. Prasad Modak ji and Dr. Ranga Prasad ji for sharing their valuable insights on the relevant topic. That's the need of the time. Dr. Ajay Datta Saab, Chairman, ASSOCHAM GEM Rajasthan State Development Council, for giving us this opportunity to organize this webinar. And sir, we'll be working under your leadership. I believe that this will be a great session and this will be helpful to all of us. A special thanks to the moderator of the session, Mr. Ashu Gupta ji, who has flawlessly and smoothly conducted this entire event. Last but not the least, our partners, that's TCI and Renew Power, and all the support from the Senior Director, ASSOCHAM GEM, Mr. Neeraj Arora ji, and his entire team. That's all from my side. Thank you so much. Namaste.
Thank you. And madam, at the end, we assure you that we will definitely run this social media campaign, no to over packaging, and we'll circulate this information in among our 4 lakh industry members for taking this pledge. Thank you so much, madam. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, ma'am. Thank you everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Can we have photograph, Neeraj ji?
Yes, sir. Yes. Yes.
So I think with a smile of keeping up a smile with a count of 3, we can have.
Yes.
So here we go. 1, 2, and 3.
Thank you, Ji.
Thank you so
Thank
much.
you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.